There it is, my friends.
Did we just see, or maybe not see, a shocking NXT call-up to the main roster? NXT TakeOver has just finished. It was an excellent show, an even better main event of these 2 out of 3 Falls matches. First one, which was spoilers by the way, just a straight-up wrestling match, which Johnny Gargano lost just by hitting Adam Cole with a chair. Then Adam Cole won the next fall. Johnny Gargano won the next fall in a street fight, and it went down to a steel cage, and they took this insane bump at the end off the top of the cage, through some tables, and Cole just managed to make the pin on Gargano.
Yeah.
Now, that's how NXT went off air, with Adam Cole being helped to the back with the Undisputed Era and, crucially, the NXT Championship. The whole idea behind this feud was this was the last installment. William Regal said this will be the decisive finish. This is the end of Cole versus Gargano. This is their third TakeOver match now. And then the copyright logo came up on screen. There was no Ciampa. The screen went black. That's how the show ended on air. But then off air, immediately after,
we had a report in from Jaron Walker, our Small Afro Games on Twitter, who sent us a message to say that the crowd did a thank you Johnny chant. He welcomed it and thanked the audience. He then asked, could that be a call-up? He then sent an update saying Regal has come out too and hugged Johnny Gargano. Definitely a send-off. And we looked around, we found a few other tweets as well from people in the building saying, this one comes in from Yabo55, who says, Gargano may be done with NXT tonight as he got up, thanked the crowd and waved goodbye to them. William Regal came to the ring and Gargano gave him an emotional hug goodbye. And we've also got Skip to My J saying, Johnny Gargano stuck around and thanked the crowd after NXT TakeOver went off the air. William Regal came out to greet him. Might be the end of his NXT run.
So Gargano staying around for a bit longer, saying thank you to the crowd who were giving him a standing ovation, isn't really that unexpected. It was an amazing match. The crowd were going crazy for it. They wanted to show their gratitude to a guy who legit just sacrificed probably a portion of his career in this insane match. Mm-hmm. And Johnny staying out there to take in that gratitude, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
William Regal coming out, however, now that is a bit of an interesting point. Plus, the fact that I actually forgot until you were just talking. Johnny Gargano's already been called up to the main roster. That happened back in February.
He had that 2-week call-up.
Yeah.
With Tommaso Ciampa when he was the North American champion. He's been NXT champion since then.
Yeah. So, when we say a call-up, I guess it's actually more of actually going back to the place you were weirdly meant to be already, even though that was never really thought out.
Yeah, and it's funny, Laurie and I have had quite a few chats about this on the NXT Weekly Rambles, where we said it almost felt like Gargano was just heading back to NXT, and that's where he was going to stay. He didn't need to go to the main roster, because not only does he feel at home in NXT, and he feels like he really is one of NXT's true boys, Ciampa's going to be coming back reportedly very soon, and there's still some unfinished business with that storyline. It didn't have its proper conclusion. So whether or not maybe Ciampa's going up to the main roster as well, and you just sort of do the storyline there.
Well, that's it. Who says Ciampa's going to return to NXT?
Yeah.
I mean, Ciampa himself, but, he's the person with the least amount of say there. He's already been called up to the main roster too.
Yeah.
It makes more sense, really.
You're right.
Unfortunately, for them both to appear on the main roster. We've both been saying that we don't actually foresee any post-SummerSlam call-ups, because we think they're going to hold it off until October time, when AEW launches and SmackDown moves to Fox and NXT goes live for 2 hours on Wednesday nights, reportedly. But maybe, Ciampa and Gargano could make their return to Raw or SmackDown, and that's part of this revamp of the main roster product.
Yeah, which would be really interesting. Just move them back up as DIY and kind of slot them into, I don't know, the SmackDown tag team division, I suppose, because that could do with another team right now. And, DIY versus New Day matches. Yeah. I'm all for those.
And you got to think, what really is there left to do for Gargano? I was scrolling through Twitter as well shortly after the TakeOver finished, and mostly 100% praise.
Oh, yeah.
I just did a sort of Paul Rudd and Anchorman. Mostly 100% praise. Yeah. There was a contingent, however, that was very vocal against the booking of Gargano. Like, they're a bit frustrated now. Lose. Oh, you won that one time. Back to losing. And that is part of Gargano's character. He's sort of that Daniel Bryan mold. But yeah, I can see why, if you're a Gargano fan and if you want him to win, you could be very frustrated by now, because he does get beaten a lot.
I mean, I'm going to say that I've been definitely frustrated, because I predicted that Adam Cole was going to win at TakeOver New York, and then predicted Gargano was going to win both of the other matches, and I was been wrong on all 3 bloody occasions. So yes, I'm very frustrated on the part of Johnny Gargano. But I've also seen a few people kind of take a knock against the show overall and say that it was, I mean, some say it's one of the worst takeovers of all time, which I think is complete hyperbole. But I actually thought a really interesting one was that NXT is almost falling under the weight of its own success. Each takeover feels like it has to be better than the previous one, and you can't always be better than the previous takeover. So even when it's still a really, really great show, you might be like, but it wasn't as good as New York. But I thought it was a terrific main event.
Yeah, absolutely amazing main event. And yeah, that means the end of Gargano versus Cole. So Cole, presumably, is going to move on to a new opponent for the NXT Championship.
And people thought that might have been Matt Riddle. But Matt Riddle is now very much embroiled in this Killian Dane feud, and which looks like that's now going to be building towards a bigger match, down the line. Also, what does this mean now for the Undisputed Era and War Games?
Yeah.
War Games will be the next TakeOver show.
Yeah, about Matt Riddle, he turned up about midway through the show and called out Killian Dane. Killian Dane came out. They brawled a lot.
Oh, yeah, they brawled a lot.
And then Dane, with Matt Riddle on his back choking them out, somehow ran towards a security guard that did not move.
No!
And Dane took them both out off the stage through a table. So yeah, that's probably going to be a program going forward. Also, no titles changed hands.
No, none at all.
So Street Profits retained in the opening tag. Velveteen Dream retained in the 3-way. Shayna Baszler retained against Mia Yim. So we were both like, so that means Adam Cole's losing, right, baby? But no, he also retained. But as part of that 3-way North American title match, it seemed to me that Pete Dunne versus Velveteen Dream was a North American title program coming out of that.
It really did, because Pete Dunne had a visual pin during the match. He hit Roddy with the bitter end and had him pinned, but Velveteen Dream was distracting the referee. And then when the referee went down to count the pinfall, Dream jumped in the way and grabbed the referee's hand, which I've seen Dave Meltzer be very snippy about on Twitter, because he's just like, it makes no sense, just makes the referee look incompetent. And so it really did feel like that we are setting up Dunne for a return match against Dream for that North American Championship.
Because all of the tension really in that match was based around them two.
Yeah, Roddy was an afterthought.
Well, but a very good afterthought. Yeah, like, here's a backbreaker, here's a backbreaker.
You want more of them?
Yeah, but there's the real tension was definitely between Dunne and Dream, especially when Dream not turned heel, but, resorted to his more desperate tactics, and Dunne really got annoyed with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was Dream pinning Dunne in the end as well.
Yes.
So usually you would think, well, I don't want to see a rematch, but crucially you had that bit of booking,
the visual pin,
where Dunne did win the match, really.
Yeah. And it'd be good to see Dunne stick around in NXT for a little bit.
And he's not the only person sticking around in NXT, because like we said, everyone retained. We all thought the Street Profits were going to drop their NXT tag titles, because they've been on Raw for the last month, not in ring matches, but just in backstage segments, very charismatically,
as a Greek chorus,
doing backstage promo bits as a Greek chorus, just commenting on the WWE happenings and storylines.
And the reported reason that they are doing this role is because they aren't allowed to beat any main roster talent because they're NXT stars, so you can't beat main roster guys. But Paul Heyman doesn't want them to lose because they're the NXT Tag Team Champions, and then that would just make them look stupid. So they kind of. So I think we all figured, well, surely they're going to drop the belts here at Toronto and then just move on up to the main roster. But no, we're getting more profits, I guess, unless they drop the belts on TV.
Yeah, another part of it is that the Street Profits haven't really had that lengthy tag title run. They've had 2 successful tag defenses, but that has been on TV. Now they've had their big TakeOver title defense, makes their reign a bit more illustrious, makes their tag team appeal a bit more significant. Maybe then they can just drop it on TV, like he said. But yeah, so who's the Street Profits going to drop it to as well? Maybe it's the Undisputed Era. There isn't really many other tag teams in NXT at the moment they could go for.
I suppose got Breezango have now returned, but they're sort of embroiled in a feud with the Forgotten Sons. There's Birch and Lorcan, I guess. But now we've got Lost the War Raiders, then it is. I feel like we need to find another tag team. Yeah.
Well, overall, it was an absolutely terrific show. Our edited review will go up later today, along with our full NXT review ramble just before SummerSlam, which we're doing a live stream of. So click subscribe and enable notifications to know when those are live, and let us know what you thought of NXT TakeOver in the comments down below. Press the thumbs up, all that lovely jazz, and press the videos. It's late.
Do you want to quickly do super chats?
How many super chats we got?
We've got 6. Let's fire through these. Wilson Simmons says, I'm so lucky out of the billions of years that the universe has existed. I live in one where I can watch Gargano versus Cole live. Sazim Quasi says, I was there and it was honestly amazing. Henry Cazares says, Ricochet wins title open challenge versus Johnny Gargano. Thinking about for the United States title tomorrow night.
Wow, yeah.
Wilson Simmons thinks it's going to be Cole versus Keith Lee. They've been on the house shows and their match in Dallas was amazing. But I mean, it should be noted though that Cole's faced a lot of people on the house shows that they do. And Keith Lee has 0 momentum at the moment. So it'd be very weird if it was him of all people. As much as I'm a big Lee fan. And the Gecko said, after tonight, do you guys think the era will ever hold all the gold? Sorry if it's been asked. Keep up the great work.
They've got to be building to that eventually.
But we've been building that all bloody year.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you to SB Nation for your donation.
Please click the videos that have just appeared on the desk now to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things, and this button right here, which will take you to Patreon, where you can get involved in Wrestle League Season 2 climaxes, and Season 3 begins with SummerSlam. So go over to there, become a pledge hammer, compete against us in fantasy predictions. I've been Ollie Davis, that's been Luke Owen, and what a hell of an NXT takeover.